Hello friends and welcome back to my channel. If you're here, it's because you are interested in building surveying. Maybe it's because you want to become a building surveyor. Maybe you're doing the APC. And one of the things I wanted to do was a video on how I think you can become a master on the thing that you're doing, building surveying, or it might be for something else. Things I'm going to go through here are going to be really helpful no matter what you do. They're what I've learned, they're the things that I use on a daily basis, and I want to share them with you. So for those of you who do not know who I am, my name is David. I have a first-class master's degree. I'm a chartered building surveyor. I'm also a director of a surveying and architectural firm. And I also really like the thing that I'm doing. Okay, so let's jump in. Mastery. I'm going to split this into 4 different topics, each of which will have various subtopics. Bear with me because I've just jotted everything down and I'm going to try and make this as easy as possible, but I might have to go off-piste a few times. So we're going to talk about apprenticeships. We're going to talk about knowledge and acquiring it. We're going to talk about social intelligence, and then we're going to talk about emotional pitfalls. Let's jump in. Number 1, apprenticeships. I'm actually going to alter apprenticeships into self-enrolled apprenticeships, simply because when you decide to become good at a particular thing you're doing, it's so important that you decide that you're going to embrace that particular thing and you make the effort to learn the thing, and you also put the effort in to learn everything you need to know about that particular thing. We just had a person, an architectural technician join the company, who also left the company. We got asked to leave. But his general opinion on working for the company was he had done his architectural degree and now he'd put in his effort to do his degree and learn all the stuff. And now was the time for the company to start teaching him. He had no willingness whatsoever to go out and learn for himself. He had no ability to even think to Google particular things. And he just had this idea that it was for everyone else to teach him, when it's not. It's actually you. And you have the ability, and there's just so much incredible information on the internet. It's all really easily accessible. There's no excuse not to learn absolutely everything. Okay, so the next thing under self-enrolled apprenticeships, this is going to be 1.2, is resistance equals gain. Now, I think when you go on the internet, there's so many douchebags out there that just want to teach you, oh, this is my dropshipping course. It's going to be really, really easy. You're going to make loads of money. But if you're doing anything that's easy, you're probably not going to get to the point of success, because if it's easy, there's no resistance, and if there's no resistance, there's probably no gain. I think that nowadays, if you can find something that's really, really hard to do, it's probably going to be the thing that's going to make you most successful. For example, becoming a building surveyor, you have to do a degree. You have to go and do the chartership program. It's actually quite hard. It takes a long time to do. And a lot of the information actually isn't just as readily available as, I don't know, for instance, SEO or online marketing, and it's hard. So if it's got that high level of resistance, you're probably going to find that you're going to gain a significant amount by doing that particular thing. Okay, so the next thing is going to be 1.3, which is to think through how and what. And what I mean by this is everything you're doing has a challenge. And when you start to think about, okay, how can I get over this? What do I need to do? You start to embrace that critical mindset to basically overcome any problems. And I'm finding nowadays, a lot of the people that are coming into the industry that I'm in, they don't have that ability to think critically. And I think if you can be somebody who's always reflecting and always asking yourselves, okay, how can I do this thing? What do I need to do to actually achieve what I'm setting out to do? You're more likely going to become the master in that particular thing, because you're always reflecting, you're always self-actualizing and just moving forward to become good and amazing at what you're doing. Okay, so the last thing in self-enrolled apprenticeships is going to be trial and error. Now, trial and error, I think, is an absolute magical thing nowadays. And I think not enough people look at trial and error this way. You try a thing, it doesn't work, you reflect, you correct, and you move forward. Where do you get knowledge? Knowledge is actually everywhere. It's on the internet, it's in books. We've got so many fantastic apps nowadays that you can just acquire knowledge like it's, almost like a cheap thing to do. But at the same time, one thing that's really surprised me is, out of, a couple of dozen of my really close friends, I only have one friend who is consistently reading. That person also happens to be a really successful businessman. He's got a really good SEO business. And I really believe that there's a parallel between the people that are constantly learning and are being successful in business and life, and the people who are not and are kind of like, falling behind, in my opinion. Now, the best type of knowledge for somebody who's coming up to be a building surveyor, which is what I'm doing, or someone in a highly technical realm where a lot of the information is actually guarded, a lot of it's behind doors. And this is one of the reasons why, for instance, the thing that I'm doing, I think it's going to be relatively safe from the AI takeover, is mentors, because what better way to become to get up to speed with the thing that you're doing than getting the information from somebody who's done the thing for a significant period of time. Now, I know I'm kind of contradicting myself because earlier I said it's not for people to teach you the thing, it's up for you to do the thing. But actually, mentors are really great because they can bring you up to speed with the things that you need to be learning very quickly. For example, when I was doing the APC, which is the thing you do to become qualified to do the thing that I do, I had two mentors. I had one who was 30 years into their career, and they were fantastic. They knew so much about contract administration, detailing, defects, expert witness, that the stuff that the guidance that they were giving me on the things to go away and learn was just so incredibly useful. I could never have got it without them. But then I also had another mentor who had just passed the exams that I was going for, and he was fantastic because he would say, okay, these are the kind of questions they're going to ask. These are the kind of answers you need to look for. And what's fantastic about that is you've got essentially two different viewpoints for two different purposes, and combining them together is sort of the way to, be successful in the thing that you're doing. So mentors are absolutely fantastic. Make sure they're relevant. Make sure you have a broad amount of mentors. I'm finding that what's really helpful is having them in the marketing realm, having them in the accounting realm, having them in the legal realm, and all that kind of stuff. It just goes on and on. And it's really good because you can mush it all together and become a real expert in the thing that you're doing. Yeah. So now, when it comes to mentors, I find that if you don't have a give and take relationship, they don't really work out. And I find what works really well is if you can have that kind of back and forth relationship. Like if they say, oh, do this, and you can say, oh yeah, I did that and I found this, and what do you reckon about that? And when you can kind of bounce back their recommendations critically, reflectively, you'll find a lot of the time mentors will say, oh yeah, okay, cool. They're really making the effort to learn, and I'm going to throw something back to them to kind of give them a curveball. Mentors like that. When I've mentored people and they ask me a thing after I've given them some advice, it does get kind of exciting because you're kind of getting on the same wavelength. And a lot of the time, most people aren't actually interested in the thing. So it's really nice. When you create the back and forth relationship, you'll find mentors will start to bond with you and start to give you more time. Okay, so we're moving on to number 3, which is social intelligence. Now, I'm going to steal a lot of this from Robert Greene's book. I'll put a link below if you want to read up about it, and who you are and what you do. And basically, if you want to become the master of the thing that you're doing, the last thing you want to be doing is saying to people, oh, I'm really good at my job. I'm really good, because no one believes you. And actually, it just sounds really bad. No one wants to hear that you're good at your job. They want to hear it from somebody else. So the first thing in social intelligence is going to be let your work do the talking for you. Now, how you actually do this is you get the work and you build good quality relationships. You keep building. Essentially, other people will tell other people about how good you are to work with. Okay, so the next thing is going to be craft an incredible persona. If you're somebody who wants to be a master at the thing you're doing, don't come to work in shorts and t-shirt and tatty shoes. Make yourself actually look like you're professional, you're there for a purpose, and you want to work hard. The first impression is actually made in about 3 seconds. And if you don't present yourself as the striving, professional, ambitious, incredibly good at what you're doing person, visually, you're probably not going to portray yourself as somebody who's a master at the thing that you're doing. So yeah, see yourself as others see you, make sure you're professional, and remember to say things that resonate with what they want to hear. For example, I recently had a meeting with somebody who was really interested in getting into the building surveying job, but they also wanted to make it clear that it probably wasn't going to be the be-all and end-all, and they had some other things going on, and in my head I was thinking, you're probably not the person I want to employ. Okay, moving on. Number 4, which is going to be emotional pitfalls. Now, emotional pitfalls are essentially roadblocks or spanners in the works, spanners in the spokes, on the path to becoming a master. Let me explain. I'm going to break this into 3 sections. So the first one is going to be impatience. If you are an impatient person, you're not going to go through the funnel of resistance, simply because to become good at the thing that you want to become good at, it takes time, it takes patience, and you have to go through the thing to, you have to really graft through the thing to get to where you want to go. At the moment, I'm trying to graft through YouTube. So if any of you want to help me become more motivated by liking and subscribing to my channel, I would absolutely love that. Okay, So the next thing under emotional pitfalls is grandiosity or ego. Now, it's sort of a bit same but different. But if you are somebody who wants to, show yourself off and use big words and try and like make yourself look like you're incredibly good at what you're doing, a lot of the time people don't really like that. You look like a bit of a douchebag, and actually, it's so much better to fall back on the part I just talked about, social intelligence, to let your work do your talking for you. I've been in meetings with very wealthy people who own literally billions of dollars worth of property. And I've been in those meetings with architects and engineers. The architects and engineers just want to throw out really complicated words all the time. And the client, I've actually seen them say, sorry, can you use some simpler words? Because I can't understand what you're saying. Now, if you can be that person, you can make a complicated thing easy, then you're killing it. Okay, ego sort of goes half and half, but I want to explain this with a story from one of Ryan Holiday's books of Kirk Hammett, who is one of he's not the lead guitarist, basically is the lead guitarist from Metallica. When he joined Metallica, he was, essentially being told, right, you're a freaking insanely good guitarist, and you just joined one of the biggest bands in the world. And a lot of people would have thought, do you know what? Sweet, I'm in there. I'm good to go. But he didn't have that mindset. He was like, oh, flip, do you know what? I've got my foot in the door here. I need to make sure I actually retain this position because it's insane. So what he did was he dropped the ego and he went to get guitar lessons. I mean, how mental is that? Like the person who just got the creme de la creme of jobs in the guitar world, got the job and decided, do you know what? I need more lessons. So I think that's one of the really important things to consider. It's a real pitfall when you let your ego get the better of you and you stop learning, because at the end of the day, it's just so easy to be replaced. So don't let the ego be a major pitfall. Okay, the last thing under emotional pitfalls is going to be fear of failure. Now, it's a major one. I think almost like everyone's suffering from it, because when you're starting a business or starting a career route, it's quite scary at the moment, because it looks like AI is going to replace everything. I'm not entirely sure that's going to happen. But if you think about AI being a threat to almost everything you're doing, you're never going to move forward with anything. And I think you just have to get stuck in and sort of swallow the fear of failure and just trust the process and commit. But if you don't, it's a serious emotional pitfall that's always going to haunt you, and you're never ever going to move forward. I think one of the reasons why my channel in particular hasn't really moved forward is because I spent so much time thinking, I don't really know what I want to do. I don't know if people are really going to like what I'm going to put out. But to be honest, I've just sort of accepted that I'm going to post what I'm going to post. If you like it, great. If people don't, so what? So fear of failure, it's a massive emotional pitfall on the path to mastery. So yeah, guys, I hope you liked that video. I'm going to put more stuff out about kind of like progressing your career. Mostly this channel is about building surveying, buying property, but I also want it to be about professional development, because that's a major thing that I'm interested in. And actually, I think it's probably one of the easiest way to be successful in your career, because there are so many people out there who are bad with people. They can't communicate well, they can't negotiate, they can't persuade. And I think if you can become one of those people and you can blend your technical ability, like building surveying or whatever the thing is, then I think you're going to be just so much ahead of the pack, because actually not many people have those quality skills. So yeah. All right, guys, thanks for tuning in. And if you got to this part of the video, thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next one.